There you go.
Mr. Speaker, with
Hello.
Armistice Day on Friday, I know that colleagues from across
to
the House will
Not
want to
Safe for
join
Work
me
PMQs with Graham
who have
Hughes.
lost their
That's
lives
me.
in the service of our country. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others in addition to my duties in this House. I shall have further such meetings later today.
Smaller.
About the way so you can read what it says at the bottom.
Will of course be commemorating remembrance. Bermondsey was the original home of the poppy factory, providing work for injured veterans of the Great War over 100 years ago.
Hi, Freckle Puny.
COVID restrictions were a necessary, if painful, experience.
Are we gonna have
Across
a bit
the
of
country,
poppy
most
rage?
people made enormous sacrifices.
Why is he
Charlotte, my
independent? What did he
constituents,
do?
and local councillor Lorraine, unable to see their mums.
What
in their final
crime
days.
did this fucking
These
commit?
people
Someone
were
look it up.
betrayed by the Conservatives who parted their way through lockdown.
Oh, okay, he's on our side. That's all right. I'll take it back. Maybe he didn't commit a crime.
You may not like it, but you can all go to eat kangaroo testicles for all I care. But those Conservatives
Hi, Martin.
covered Downing Street in suitcases.
Oh, hello. We've lost our feed. We've lost our feed. Oh my God, this is no good. I don't know what to do now. Come on, work, goddamn you goddamn you thing. I love it when things don't work. Said nobody ever. Let's just see if we can refresh. We'll refresh the page on old BBC Parley. It's a bit bad, isn't it, when you're supposed to have guaranteed internet speed and you don't. British Telecom, everybody. British Telecom. Mad Monk 33 says, hi Lee Corn. Hope to catch up with you this evening, bud. Ooh. The Red Circle of Death, says John Barleycorn. Indeed it is. Well, nothing is happening now. We're getting a whole heap of nothing happening from the BBC website. Maybe something's happened in Parliament. I don't know. Let's see if I open up a window for BBC News. Let's see if that works. No, my internet has just shat its pants by the looks of things. Oh, it's back. It's kind of back. It's not back. It's running really slow. It is running so slow. I'm just going to turn off my Wi-Fi in case the Wi-Fi is interfering with stuff. Oh, that's not working. Okay. Sorry, guys. I think this is my computer is just not liking things at the moment. There we go. Prime Minister's questions. Okay. We're back in. We're back in the room.
Can I join the Prime Minister
there you
in
go.
his comments about Remembrance Day?
Just in time.
We remember all those who paid the ultimate price.
And
all those who have served and are serving.
Leader of the opposition. Yeah. Right.
Mr.
Gavin
Speaker,
Williamson.
the member for South Staffordshire told
Gavin
a
Williamson.
civil servant to slit their throat. How does the Prime Minister think the victim of that bullying felt when he expressed great sadness at his resignation?
Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. Go on.
Unequivocally, the
Fucking
behaviour
rat.
complained of was unacceptable. And
was it? Yeah.
Absolutely right. It is absolutely right that the right honourable gentleman has resigned.
Over there, Rob.
For the record,
blobfish
I did not know about any of the specific concerns.
Oh, bullshit! Come on. God, he thinks we're all as stupid as he looks. I wasn't aware of the specifics.
Should treat others with consideration.
I knew about it. Everyone knew about it, mate. I'm not even anything to do with it. Everyone knew he was a horrible little bully.
Mr. Speaker, the member for South Staffordshire spent years courting the idea he can intimidate others, blurring the lines to normalise bullying behaviour.
Yeah.
It's precisely why the Prime Minister gave him a job.
Yes.
The truth
Indeed.
is simple. He's a pathetic bully.
Yes.
But he would never get away with it if people like the Prime Minister didn't hand him power.
What did Dominic Raab just say? Did he just say wibble?
Does he regret his decision to make him a government minister?
Again.
Mr. Speaker, I obviously regret appointing someone who has had to resign in these circumstances. But I think what the British people would like to know is that when situations like this arise,
go on, it's Brexit's fault. Corbyn, deliver. Corbyn,
and
Brexit.
That's why,
he voted to stop Brexit.
It's absolutely right that he resigned, and it's why it is absolutely right that there is an investigation to look into these matters properly. I said my government will be characterised by integrity, professionalism,
hi Plumbo.
and it will.
Here's Starmer. Mr. Speaker, everyone in the country knows someone like the member for South Staffordshire.
He wasn't suspended. He just
A
resigned.
sad middle manager getting off on intimidating those beneath him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
But everyone
well
in
put.
the country also knows someone like the Prime Minister. The boss who is so weak,
Well, this Tory
so worried the
nightmare,
bullies
my
will turn on him,
Yeah,
that
so
he
weak.
hides behind
Weak!
them.
That is the word that you
What
want!
message does he think it
Weak!
sends when rather than take on
Weak,
the bullies,
Rishi.
he lines up alongside them
Weak.
and thanks them
Weak,
for their
weak.
loyalty?
Yeah. Oh, what's he doing? Hello! 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 You want Prime Minister's
The message
questions?
that I clearly want to send is that integrity in public life
Get to nudge him to get him to stand up. Oh my God! What a car crash! What an absolute car crash of a PMQs. He had to be nudged because he was like, "I'm sorry, I'm not even listening. I'm reading this book. I don't give a shit." One of his ministers told a civil servant to slit their own throat and to jump out of a fucking window. One of his ministers that he chose, and he pretends he didn't know. Fucking bullshit, he didn't know.
The NHS and on tackling illegal migration. Those are my priorities. Those
Hi,
are the priorities
Asperger's.
of the British people, and this government will deliver on them.
Deliver! He said deliver! Stand and deliver.
He
The
can't
Tories are
stand
so
up to a
shite.
run-of-the-mill
Bum, 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 bum.
bully. So
Yeah.
he has no chance of standing up to vested interests on behalf of working people. Take Shell. They made record profits this year, £26 billion.
26
How much
billion.
have they paid under his so-called windfall tax?
Come on. How much? How much? Answer the
Mr.
question.
Speaker,
I bet he doesn't answer
I
the
was
question.
Chancellor
Watch
who
this.
introduced an extra tax on the
Yeah?
oil
Okay, and how much have you got from it?
companies.
Come on, tell us. How much did you get from it, twat face? Come on, God fuck.
About working
Come
people.
on.
The
Come on.
honourable member voted
Come
against
on.
legislation
Oh, here we go.
to stop strikes
Here we go.
disrupting.
Oh, he didn't support us. Why did he support us? He's the fucking opposition. He's the opposition.
Stop extremist protesters.
He is literally the opposition, you daft twat. Why would he vote with you? You are never on the side of working people. You're on the side of money, 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 grubby money and evil.
I'm against all of those causing chaos, damage to our public services,
Yeah.
to our economy, whether they are gluing themselves to the road or sitting on the government benches. Mr. Speaker, there was no answer to the question because the answer is nothing. Shell haven't paid a penny in windfall tax.
Wow.
Why?
Wow.
Because
Not a penny.
for every pound they spend digging for fossil fuels, he hands them a 90p tax break, and it's
Wow.
costing the taxpayer billions. So will he find a backbone and end his absurd oil and gas giveaway?
Wow. Excellent. Well put. Well said.
Well, Mr.
Well said.
Speaker, what the party opposite will never understand is
Oh.
that it's businesses investing that create
Just
jobs
don't
in this
understand.
country.
What you never understand. What you don't understand is patronising twat.
Mr. Speaker, we on this side of the House, we understand
Weak,
that. We
weak,
will support businesses
weak.
to invest,
Yeah.
to create jobs, because that's how we create prosperity. That's how we support strong public services.
Rob
and that's
gives
what
me
you
the
get
creeps
with a
as well.
Conservative government.
And so does Suella Braverman. I don't know what she's doing at this kind of level. She should be at the
There's
bottom
only
of the
one
ocean where
party
she
that crushed
belongs.
the economy, and they're all sitting there.
You bring her up to surface level and look what happens.
It's a pattern. Mr. Speaker, it's a pattern with this Prime Minister. Too weak to sack the security threat sat around the cabinet table.
Yeah.
Too weak to
Security
take
threat.
part in a leadership contest after he lost the first one. Too
Williamson
weak
was
to
sacked for being
stand
a
up
security
with
threat.
working people.
Yeah. Weak.
He spent weeks
Weak.
flirting
Weak.
with the climate change deniers in his party, then scuttled off to COP at the last minute.
Yeah. Weak.
In the budget
Weak.
next week,
Weak.
he'll be too weak to end his oil and gas giveaway, scrap the non-dom tax breaks, and end the farce of taxpayers subsidising private schools. That's what Labour would do, a proper plan for working people. Mr. Speaker, if he can't even stand up to a cartoon bully with a pet spider, if he's too scared to face the public
Cartoon
in an
bully with a pet
election,
spider.
what chance has he got of running the country?
Weak! 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 Weak!
Mr. Speaker,
Weak! Weak!
We won't. We want to try and get through on time. And I know
Weak!
some members
You're
will
weak as
catch
well.
my
Fuck
eye.
off,
You're
Lindsay.
not doing a good job so far. Come on, Prime
Piss
Minister.
the fuck off.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman talks about judgment about putting people around the cabinet table. I would just gently remind him he thought the member for Islington North.
There you go. He's mentioned Corbyn. He's done it. He's mentioned Corbyn. He's done it. Well done, everybody. He is the member for Islington North. He's done it. If anyone's playing PMQ bingo, I think that's a line. I think that's House. I think that's it. Sorted.
Issues that are confronting our country. We're strengthening.
Oh, he hasn't mentioned Brexit yet. Go on, mention Brexit. He's mentioned Corbyn. He said deliver. Yeah, and oh, okay, right. So why illegal migration was so low under Labour? You want more people to be coming to the country, so you have more people to complain about.
Mr. Speaker, 84 years
The letters
ago
voted
today in Germany,
remain.
hundreds of synagogues were destroyed, Torah scrolls were desecrated. Thousands of Jewish businesses and shops were destroyed as well. 91 Jewish people were murdered, and later 30,000 Jewish men were sent to the concentration camps. So as we commemorate Kristallnacht, let us remember that it was started with anti-Jewish hatred, it became anti-Semitism, and it's still prevalent in society today. So will my right honourable friend condemn anti-Semitism in all its forms, but congratulate the Holocaust survivors who give their testimony year after year, and in particular congratulate the Holocaust Educational Trust for the brilliant work they do in making sure we will never ever forget what happened in the Holocaust.
Well, that's a bit of a step up from the usual children with cancer is bad. Today it's going to be the Holocaust is bad. Does the Prime Minister agree that the Holocaust was bad? I'm not saying that was a softball question, because the Holocaust is quite a heavy subject, but, mate, come on.
The government's independent advisor on anti-Semitism regularly provides advice to ministers on how best
make a statement to the House. Just make a statement to the House. It doesn't have to be PMQs.
In praising the work of those survivors who so bravely tell their stories so that we might never forget.
And people like you wouldn't have allowed the Jews out of Germany, you fucking cunt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I associate myself with the remarks of the Prime Minister for Armistice? We remember those that paid the ultimate sacrifice, those that continue to serve, and we should also remember the nuclear test veterans who continue to seek justice for themselves. Mr. Speaker, last night the Prime Minister suffered the self-inflicted loss of his first Cabinet Minister. A couple of weeks into the job, it turns out this Prime Minister's judgment is every bit as bad as his predecessors.
Yes.
Speaking of which, we now know that his former friend, the former Prime Minister, plans to hand out seats in the House of Lords to at least 4 Tory MPs, including the current Secretary of State for Scotland. So here's another test of judgment for the new Prime Minister. Does he think it right to keep a man in a cabinet who's clearly far more interested in getting his hands on an ermine robe than playing by the rules of Scottish democracy?
Nice one.
Mr. Speaker, I'm obviously not going to comment on speculation around such lists. Any list would, of course, follow the normal procedures and processes that are in place.
They looked at the strategy, the focus groups, and they know that Corbyn is toxic.
Not speculation.
So they mention him at every opportunity.
Clearly doesn't get how corrupt this all looks to people in Scotland. Because not only do we have a UK government that denies democracy, we now have a Secretary of State that is running scared from it. In the middle of a Tory cost of living crisis,
Can't argue with that.
The Scotland office is now to be led by a baron in waiting, biding his time until he can cash in on the 300-day job for life in the House of Lords. He should be sacked from the Cabinet, and the people of Dumfries and Galloway should be given the chance to sack the Tories in a by-election. The Prime Minister's judgment is already in tatters. If he has any integrity left, will he now put a stop to these 2 predecessors stuffing the House of Lords with his cronies?
Cronies.
Mr. Speaker, what the Secretary of State and I are jointly focused on is working constructively with the Scottish Government to deliver for the people of Scotland. I'll be pleased to be meeting the First Minister tomorrow, because that, I think, is what the people of Scotland want to see.
The people of Scotland. We're going to deliver for the people of Scotland. We're going to deliver more misery.
Operating to bring people into this country in
more
small
criminality.
boats, that directly affects my constituents in Folkestone and Hythe, are openly using social media platforms to recruit people to use their services. Can my right honourable friend confirm that the online safety bill will require social
criminals
media
are bad?
to take
So the first question the Tories asked themselves was the Holocaust bad? Now they're asking if criminals are bad. Here we go, let's see what the answer is. For his softball question. Brilliant. Criminals are bad. Turns out, dickheads, criminals are bad. Criminals using the internet, yeah, that's a bad thing. Yeah, it's a bad thing that criminals do.
Assisting illegal immigration is listed as a priority bill in the priority offence
Groundhog
in the bill,
Day.
and we look
Do you know what I
forward to
mean?
bringing it
I
back
can
to the
expect
House
to hear
in due
fucking
course.
Sonny and Cher come on the fucking alarm clock radio.
The Prime Minister is struggling to rebuild the Tories' ruined economic credibility after his predecessor scorned the Office for Budget Responsibility. But in a Bloomberg interview just last week, his Trade Secretary disputed OBR forecasts that trade will be 15% lower because of Brexit. Britain's economic prospects are worsened by being outside the world's largest trading bloc. That is a fact. So who does he agree with? The OBR or his Tory minister?
Good question.
Well, Mr. Speaker,
well,
one of the great opportunities of Brexit is our ability to trade more with countries around the world.
What countries? Liar! We can't trade more with them. We literally can't because they're too far away. It's a guy who's never ran a business, by the way. This man has never, ever ran a business.
Mr. Speaker,
inherited fuck tons of money. Married a billionaire.
Councils to approve development which damages our environment. Right. When the Prime Minister came to Finchley over the summer,
hell,
he said
she looks
he
like
wanted
a ghost, doesn't she? She looks like a woman who like haunts some kind of Georgian mansion, you know, out in the Norfolk Broads or something. She's just there in the window. Oh my God, what is that in the window? Oh, it's just Theresa Villiers.
And we must build homes in the right places where people want to live and work. As the honourable lady knows,
it's Kathy, I've come here.
Decisions to be taken locally.
Oh, I can't get over just how ugly fucking Suella Braverman is inside and out. She just looks like a blobfish. She just looks like a fucking blobfish. I know you shouldn't talk about people's looks, but she's so evil, I don't give a fuck.
I remember back in February when he was Chancellor of the Exchequer, when I informed him that due to his incompetence in that job, the children in my constituency were going to bed that night with no food in their tummy and no heat in their homes. What is he now going to do as Prime Minister to make sure that in every community in our country, children aren't in that situation in this hard winter ahead?
Well, Mr. Speaker, the absolute best way to ensure that children do not grow up in poverty, which is something that none of us want to see, is to ensure that they do not grow up in a workless household. And the record under these governments is that 700,000 fewer children are growing up in workless households, and that's because Conservative governments create jobs for people, Mr. Speaker, and that's the best anti-poverty strategy that we have.
The woman who fantasises about sending women and children to Rwanda as punishment for looking for
that is currently housing 77 Afghan refugees. As local organisations search for permanent accommodation for them following the success
anyone here from Hertfordshire
Operation
watching?
Sitting.
Fucking Hertfordshire.
Many of the refugees I met held highly skilled jobs back in Afghanistan, including a doctor, international athletes,
and you abandoned them all.
Can the Prime Minister
Your
assure the House
government
that our
abandoned them
will
in
do
favour
more
of
to
dogs?
support these highly skilled
Save some dogs.
individuals to enter the
Nope,
UK
nope,
workforce?
they saved some dogs instead. Save some dogs and left the people who actually helped us to die under the Taliban.
And I can reassure him that we are completely committed to supporting Afghan refugees into the employment opportunities here in the UK.
Lee Cohn, she's a chinless Aardman baddie.
Has a full programme in place.
She has literally no chin.
That our Refugee Leads Network brings together refugee organisations and DWP to connect those refugees.
Duke's only just woken up.
And I look forward to seeing the
Duke was watching the American election with eager anticipation. I'll talk about that a little bit after
5 years ago,
this finishes.
the government belatedly launched a review into the security risk posed by handing thousands of mainly wealthy Russian and Chinese nationals so-called golden visas so they could live in Britain. It also promised to publish the results of that review. Why hasn't it?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we did indeed review and indeed end the visa that the honourable gentleman is raising. The Home Office is currently conducting the right way to replace that visa with something that is more sustainable going forward and protects our security interests. I'll be happy to have the Home Secretary write to him with an update on that process.
Siobhan Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. The UK has a workforce shortage, yet millions of parents are unable to work at full tilt, and childcare providers are going belly up due to policies being a maddeningly expensive muddle of a mess. Will my right honourable friend please confirm that after decades of ineffective tinkering and endless policies, that he will be the man to give us proper childcare reform?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to say
stand up, sir. Oh, he is standing
new
up.
Plans to improve the cost, the choice, and the availability of childcare to benefit hundreds of thousands of parents.
At least that was a question of like, what are you going to do about childcare, which is kind of applicable, and it's a lot better than wasn't the Holocaust bad, and don't you think criminals are awful?
We'll respond to all of these proposals in very short
I didn't even get what Theresa Villiers was saying because I was too busy laughing at the way she looked.
Mr. Speaker, I know
So
the Prime
childish
Minister's
of me.
been very
I know.
busy failing to stand up to bullies, but in the real world, schools and colleges across the country looking after actual children are struggling to make ends meet. One London head teacher has scrapped plans for mental health counsellors. A head teacher in Twickenham is no longer filling teaching assistant vacancies, whilst another is axing school trips. So, Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister give pupils and parents a cast-iron guarantee that in next week's autumn statement there will be no real terms cuts to school and college budgets?
Mr. Speaker, we've significantly increased funding going into schools over the next 2 years, but on top of that, it was important to this government to help those children.
It's such a cop-out when they say they've increased funding. It increases each year in line with inflation. So because we've got inflation, the amount of money they give goes up. But in absolute terms, in relative terms, it's always a cut because they don't quite give as much money. They don't actually add anything to it. Just get the bare fucking minimum they can get away with. That's what they are, the bare minimum fucking Tories.
Despite a productive meeting with the Immigration Minister yesterday, the Home Office continues to house over 400 asylum seekers in 2 neighbouring hotels in my constituency. It's clear from my meetings with GPs and Derbyshire Police that this huge influx of people in such a small area is putting local services under immense strain. Before serving, my right honourable friend commit to
I would take 1,000 North Africans over you.
Concentrated in one place. And will he intervene to set a timetable?
Looks like Holly from Red Dwarf has been left outside Sellafield for too long.
This location.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me give my honourable friend my absolute cast-iron commitment that we want to get to grips with this problem. The best way to resolve it is to stop
from other
criminal
places,
gangs
like
profiting
what
from an illegal
his parents
trade
did.
in human lives and the unacceptable
Well
rise
then,
in channel
make
crossing,
it easier
which is putting
to
unsustainable
apply
pressure on
for
our
asylum
system
in
and
this
local
country.
services.
Make it so you can
She
do it
has my
online,
reassurance
like
that the Home
what
Secretary
you could
and
do
I
if you
are
were
working
Ukrainian.
day and night to resolve this problem,
How about
not
you
just
make
to
it
end the
so
use
people
of
from
expensive
anywhere in the
contingency
world
accommodation,
can apply
but for more
online?
fundamental
How about you do that?
reform
It'll
so that
cost
we
us a
can
lot
finally get to
less
grips with this
to have
issue,
some people
protect
working in
our
office
borders,
on
and
that
end illegal
few thousand
migration.
people than putting up a few thousand people in fucking hotels.
Prime Minister's short premiership, he's had
Dickhead.
one minister resign and one that urgently needs to be sacked.
Yes.
Can the Prime Minister clarify to the House and the rest of the country when the scheduled programme
I went to her
of
reggae
integrity,
party at the
professionalism
Labour
and
Party conference.
accountability
Good.
will begin?
Mr. Speaker, it's precisely because I want a government characterised by integrity, professionalism.
Why have you got this piece of shit next to you? Hey? Hey? Why have you got this fucking fucknut behind you who literally was resigned from her post 6 days before you put her back in it? She gave up her job for 6 days. Hasn't she been punished enough?
How is it? It's quite amazing, isn't it, when a minister's come from his post to get more cheers. Come on, Dean Ross.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my colleagues. Just like the Prime Minister, I was very fortunate to join the Royal British Legion in becoming a Poppy volunteer recently.
Oh God, Poppy
I
rage.
joined colleagues
in
Abbots Langley.
War Christmas
and I was part of Les
again.
Betters's team, and this week I'll be joining Tony Griffiths and his team.
Wasn't World War One amazing?
I'd like to ask if
No.
the Prime Minister
Wasn't World War
will
Two
join
bad?
me in thanking
Because
all of the Poppy
the
Appeal
wrong team won,
volunteers
eh?
across the country and in my constituency for their work to ensure that we always remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And if the Prime Minister,
Fucking hell, I wish he would make the
Minister
ultimate
for
sacrifice,
Veterans,
gobshite.
will also visit Watford to meet our heroic veterans who we owe so much.
Fuck off, podgy piece of shit.
And my honourable friend is a fantastic champion for
I've got
Watford,
friends
and
who are in the
it's a
services and they're
pleasure to
sick
join
of the
him in
Tories, they're
thanking
sick
the
of the
Royal
Poppy
British
rage every
Legion's
year, they're
Poppy
sick of the
Appeal
way that
volunteers,
veterans are
both
treated,
in Watford
the way
and
that
across
people
the
end up on the
country.
streets,
There is
they're
no
given
greater
no support by these
sacrifice than
fucking
those who lay down
gobshites
their
in
lives in
government.
the service
And they go, oh
of our
yes,
nation. So I'm
we
proud,
salute
as many
the
others
army,
are,
we
to
salute
support
the
the Poppy
Navy, we
Appeal
salute the
and
Air
to
Force.
honour our
As
veterans.
soon as they're out, they don't give a
Culture.
fuck.
If the Prime Minister or any member of his many households became unwell, would he start ringing the GP surgery at 8 o'clock each morning to not get an appointment? Would he go off to accident and emergency and wait 12 hours to be seen? Would he call an ambulance which wouldn't come? Or would he use some of his £750 million unearned wealth to pay privately and see somebody there and then?
What a great question! Fuck you, Rishi!
I'm very grateful, and let me put on record my thanks to the fantastic team at the Friarage Hospital in Northallerton who provided excellent care to my family over the years.
Yeah?
But the Honourable Gentleman is right to highlight the
It's
issue
right.
of people
Yeah, it's just
waiting
right.
unacceptably
Because
long
you'll just go private because you can
That's
afford
why
it.
We've put record funding into the NHS to help with backlogs and waiting
Two-week
times this winter.
aim to see a fucking GP. 2 weeks, man. Under Blair, it was 48 hours, and they achieved it.
And we will continue to invest in more doctors,
Fucking
more nurses,
hell.
and more community scans
Brilliant question.
so that we can deliver exactly that.
Deliver. Brexit, Corbyn, deliver.
Speaker,
One of those little dolls that you pull the cord and they just say
is
like
due to
3 stop
benefit
phrases.
from a £300 million private sector-led regeneration project which will deliver thousands of new jobs for my
Funny,
constituents.
he doesn't
over
sound like
the
a
years
Tory.
ahead. To deliver this ambitious new project, we need support with a £40 million package.
Oh God, is he
of
Blackpool?
relocating the
Fuck off.
existing court
Fucking hate
complex, which
Blackpool.
currently
Fucking hate
occupies
this
the
guy.
site.
Fucking hate
Various
Blackpool.
secretaries
Fucking
of state have been very
shithole. Is it
supportive
below
of
sea
the
level?
project
Is it
so
below sea
far.
level? Because
So
that'd be
is
the only
Prime
good thing
Minister
about
able
climate
to
change.
give me
Get
an
rid of fucking
update
Blackpool.
on when we can receive some good news
There's
about
beautiful
how we can get
buildings
this
in Blackpool,
project
and
off
every
the
single one of
ground.
them has been ruined by fuckwits.
Can I
It's a
join
grubby
with
little
the honourable
grotty
member in
shithole
recognising
in
the
Lancashire.
importance
I
of the
can't
Blackpool
not
Central
recommend it
Regeneration
enough.
project to the
Keep
town's
going.
levelling up
If you're travelling
ambitions.
south on the
I can
M6,
tell him
keep
that
going.
my,
Take a
honourable
right at
friend, the
Liverpool.
Justice Secretary and Housing Secretary are in the process of
good
resolving
pool.
this issue for
Much better
him
than
and how
Hartlepool.
best we can
And
relocate
pool.
the court complex.
And much
I
better
can tell
than
him he
Blackpool.
won't have to wait very long for an update on the plans.
It is a critical time for our steel industry, hit by massive energy costs and low demand, at a time when we need to support our industry to adapt to build the green technologies that we will need. Does the Prime Minister agree that our sovereign capability and our national security is dependent on a strong UK steel industry? And if so, will the government not sit on its hands? And what is the Prime Minister's plan for steel?
Brexit opportunities.
Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of our track record. Not only did we support one steel company in South Wales during coronavirus that needed our assistance, which we were pleased to do, we also have provided over £2 billion to support energy-intensive industries, including steel, with high energy bills, and thanks to the work of my colleagues, remove the tariffs in exporting steel to the United States. But she has my assurance that we will continue to support steel because we recognise its importance to our economy and to our communities up and down the country.
Chris Loader.
Thank you, Mr.
The
Speaker.
aluminium industry's
Supermarkets
next
such
and
as
is completely
Morrison's
fucked.
are abusing their dominant market position on fuel, charging up to 20p per litre more in Bridport than other towns in the region, thus preventing West Dorset residents
preventing
from
you from getting
benefiting
into Greggs.
from the very unusual
What's at the
reduction
door?
in market
It's not
price
big
these
enough.
days.
Will the Prime Minister agree to meet with me to discuss what action can be taken against these commercial predators who harm our local residents in this way?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as Chancellor, I was pleased to cut duty by 5p a litre, the biggest ever cut in fuel duty to help motorists in our country. But I recognise the concerns the honourable gentleman raised. That's why we asked the Competition and Markets Authority to conduct an urgent review of the market. There are some actions to be considered coming out of that review, and I look forward to meeting with him and working with the CMA to explore its recommendations.
David, your last
in more
comment skirts a little bit close to racism. Could you please remove it? Thanks.
Hill, I'll be delivering food bank collection crates because once more our food banks are running out of food. Does the Prime Minister understand the despair my constituents feel that he, as one of the richest men in Britain, is doing so little?
Righteous indignation.
They don't like the truth, Mr. Speaker. Does he understand the despair my constituents feel that he is doing so little for the poorest in Britain by refusing to cancel the £3 billion tax break for non-doms who profit from our country but won't make our country their home?
Excellent.
Well,
yeah, like your wife.
I'm proud of my and this government's track record.
I'm proud of my wife
in our society, and that will always continue. And it is a bit rich hearing from the gentleman who, the first person who reminded us what happens when the economy gets crashed by a Labour government. That's no way to
don't worry about it.
people.
Don't worry about it, David.
Strong economy. That's what
Peter says aluminium is another industry destroyed by Brexit.
Strong public services.
It's a big list of them. Over 10,000 businesses that used to export.
Are reliant on our party and this government to fulfil its promises on levelling up. Not just up and down the country, but sideways too. Does my right honourable friend agree with me that the Felixstowe and
Giles, he doesn't look like a Giles, does he?
Judged as an historic failure.
Hello.
A plan succeeds in levelling up a deprived ward that is in my constituency.
Giles
and will my right honourable friend join me in Clacton to kickstart that plan? Also, Mr. Speaker, will my right honourable friend commit to coming to the tendering showcase currently in the Jubilee Room until 2 p.m?
Oh gosh! He was educated at Forest School in Walthamstow. Just in case you need to know that he went to an independent private school. Of course he did. I mean, did you hear him? Another one. And he's talking to this guy who also went to a private school.
I look forward to working with him to see how
oh, what the hell! Let's go smash the oinks. Right, we're all done. We're all done here. All that's left is the screaming. I'm going to turn the volume down for that. And I will join you in a moment when I grow. Like, I don't know. Like one of those growing things. What we're talking about? Like, there we go. Bom, bom, bom. Okay. I'm going to go really big now. This might freak you out a little bit. Oh, I think I'm too big. Oh, there's a statement coming. Oh, okay, we'll stay for this. We'll stay for this. There is going to be a statement on COP27. Here we go. Look out the way.
I'm glad you're back.
Why didn't you wait till everyone was out, you daft prune?
It can't relate to the PMQs. You didn't ask a question. We'll deal with it afterwards. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With permission, I'd like to make a statement on COP27, which I attended in Sharm el-Sheikh on Monday.
Only because Boris Johnson went there.
When the United Kingdom took on the UK presidency of COP, just 1/3 of the global economy was committed to net zero. Today, that figure is 90%. And the reduction in global emissions
net zero by
during our presidency
2050, which is far too late to actually change anything.
Entire annual emissions
We're going to be up to
America.
2 degrees of heat by
the
end of the next decade.
Global temperature
Guys,
rises to
that's what we're looking at now.
Degrees.
Now, 1.5 has gone, mate. We're fucked. We're so fucked. Buy a house on top of a hill. That's all I can say.
And the whole House, I know, will want to join me in paying tribute to my right honourable friend, the member for Reading West, for his inspirational leadership as COP president.
Bars on the window.
The question at this summit, Mr. Speaker, was whether countries would deliver on their promises.
What a great future these cunts have made for our children.
I'm pleased to say that our nation will.
What?
We have already cut our carbon emissions faster than anyone else in the G7.
It's Jeremy Cunt.
I mean, ambitious commitment to reduce
cunt.
emissions by at least 68%.
Sorry, did I say hunt? I meant cunt.
Of the decade. Now, I know that some have feared Putin's abhorrent war in Ukraine could distract from global efforts to tackle climate change. But I believe it should catalyse them. Climate security
You don't believe anything,
and
mate.
energy
You don't
security
believe in
go
anything.
hand
You're just
in
a
hand.
hack. You are just
Putin's
a fucking
contemptible
hack.
manipulation
That's all
of
you
energy
are. That's all you
prices
ever will be.
has only
You're
reinforced
just a hack
the
who was
importance
born wealthy
of ending
and
our
married
dependence
a
on
very,
fossil
very
fuels.
rich sugar mummy.
So we will make this country a clean energy superpower. We
Oh,
will
really?
accelerate our transition to renewables.
Okay, yeah.
which have
Are you going to allow
already
them to
grown
build
fourfold
wind
as a
turbines
proportion of
on land, are
electricity
you?
supply
You can get rid of
over
the
the last
ban on
decade.
that your party
We
put
will
in.
invest
They put a
in building
ban.
new nuclear power
They put a
stations
ban
for the
on
first
building
time
new wind
since the
turbines on
1990s.
land. These fuckers.
And by committing £30 billion to support our green industrial revolution, we will leverage up to £100
industrial
billion
revolution.
of private investment to support
Right, if
almost
you say so,
half
mate.
a million
Right.
high-wage, high-skilled
Hands up
green
who believes
jobs.
this cunt.
Mr. Speaker, there is also
no one's got the hands
solution
up.
to climate change without protecting and restoring nature. So at COP27, the UK committed to £90 million to the Congo Basin.
90
As part
million.
of £1.5 billion
Drop
we're
in the
investing
ocean.
in protecting the world's forests. And I co-hosted the first meeting of our Forest and Climate Leaders Partnership, which will
Yeah,
deliver
Peter, we're on course
the
for 2.8.
historic commitment to halt and reverse forest loss and land degradation by 2030. Now, central to all
John,
our
yeah,
efforts
there
is
was a
keeping
tidal
our
power project
promises
in
on
Wales that they
climate
did
finance.
refuse to help fund.
So the UK is delivering on our commitment of
money to his rich mates,
£11.6 billion.
funneled from the public purse
And to
to his
support
rich
the
mates'
most
pockets.
vulnerable who are experiencing the worst impacts of climate change, we will triple our funding on adaptation to reach £1.5 billion a year in 2025. In Glasgow, the UK pioneered
such the
a
walls,
new global
mate.
approach, using aid funding to unlock billions of pounds of private finance for new
the
green
44 billion that
infrastructure.
Elon Musk just spent.
So I was
so we
delighted
could
to
ruin
join
Twitter.
President Ramaphosa to mark the publication of
Use
his
zero
investment
tolerance to
plan,
tackle climate.
which delivers
just
on this new
tackle
model.
national
South
security
Africa will
issues in his own
benefit from
freshly appointed
cheaper,
cabinet.
cleaner
Indeed.
power, cutting
So-
emissions, while simultaneously creating new green jobs for his people. And we will look to support other international
no credible
partners
route
in
to
taking a similar
1.5.
approach. We also made further commitments to support clean power in developing countries. This included investing a further £65 million in commercialising innovative clean technologies and working with the private sector to deliver a raft of green investment projects in Kenya. Now, Mr. Speaker, the summit also allowed me to meet many of my counterparts for the first time. With Egyptian President...
That's one of the reasons you should have gone in the first place.
With the
but,
Egyptian
whatever.
President, I raised the case of
who?
the British-Egyptian
What's the name?
citizen Alaa Abd El Fattah. And I know the whole House will share my deep concern about his case, which grows more urgent by the day. And we will continue to press the Egyptian government to resolve this situation. We want to see Alaa freed and reunited with his family as soon as possible. With President Macron, we discussed our shared determination to crack down on criminal smuggling gangs. And I also discussed illegal migration with other European leaders too.
Focus will move
we
to
are all facing
mitigation
the
rather than
same
prevention.
shared challenge,
Yes.
and we agreed to
Which is
solve
going to
it
be way,
together.
way more expensive.
And finally,
you know?
I had
It's
good
better to get a
meetings with the new Prime
vaccine
Minister of Italy,
than to get the
German
fucking
Chancellor,
disease.
the
That's been
President
treated
of
for
the
the fucking
EU,
disease.
the President of Israel, and the leaders of UAE, Kenya, and Norway, as well as the UN Secretary General. In all of these discussions, the United Kingdom is acting with our friends to stand up for our values around the world, to deliver stability and security at home. Tackling climate change and securing our energy independence is central to these objectives. So even though we may now have handed over the presidency of COP, the United
There's someone
Kingdom
at the door. I will come back. I will come back. I promise.
to deliver net zero. Because this is the way to ensure the security and prosperity of our country for today and generations to come. And I commend this statement to the House.
Call the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I thank the Prime Minister for advance copy of his statement? And can I start by raising the case of Alaa Abd El Fattah?
Yes.
As the Prime Minister knows and has said, he's a British citizen, jailed for the crime of posting on social media and been imprisoned in Egypt for most of the last 9 years. He's been on hunger strike for the last 6 months. Now, the Prime Minister just said that he raised it with President Sisi. Could he tell us what progress he made in securing Allah's release. Mr. Speaker, it's right that the Prime Minister eventually went to COP27. Remember the stakes. The world is heading for 2.8 degrees of warming. That's mass flooding, habitats destroyed, untold damage to lives and livelihoods. We must prevent that for security, for the public finances, and for the next generation. And that's why it was inexplicable that he had to be dragged kicking and screaming to even get on the plane. Britain should be leading on the world stage, helping the world confront the greatest challenge of our time. But his snub, one of the first decisions of his premiership, was a terrible error of judgment.
It was.
And sent a clear message that if you're looking for leadership from this Prime Minister, look elsewhere. That if you want to get this Prime Minister to go somewhere, get the Right Honourable Member for Uxbridge first, get him to come along, then the Prime Minister will follow. And his reluctance is so bizarre because climate change is not just a once-in-a-generation responsibility. It's also a once-in-a-generation opportunity. An opportunity to lower energy bills for good. An opportunity to ensure Britain's security is never again at the mercy of times like Putin. An opportunity to create millions of jobs and break out of the Tory cycle of low growth and high taxes. Opportunities he's passing by. The Prime Minister said in his speech at COP27 that we need to act faster on renewables. So why is he the roadblock at home? As he was flying to Egypt, his minister was reaffirming the ban on onshore wind, the cheapest, cleanest form of power that we have.
Yes!
The Prime Minister also said
There's
at
a fucking
COP27
ban
he
on it.
realises the importance of ending
Even if people
our
say,
dependence
I
on
want
fossil
one in my
fuels.
back garden, they
But
can't have
he's
one.
inserted a massive
there's a ban.
oil and gas giveaway when Labour forced him into a windfall tax. Taxpayers' cash handed over for digging up fossil fuels. Shell have made £26 billion in profit so far this year, but not a penny paid on windfall taxes.
Listening. Look at him.
He's completely let them off the hook. And what about the industries of the future? Manufacturers of batteries for cars in Britain struggling. Green hydrogen producers struggling. Yet in other countries, these industries are taking off.
Hydrogen,
Jobs going abroad because we've got no industrial strategy here at home.
It's bullshit!
And as he said at COP27, it was right to honour our promises to developing countries. Why is he cutting the aid budget? It's always the same message. Do as I say, not as I do. And because of that, it will always fall on deaf ears. Mr. Speaker, it's time for a fresh start. A Labour government would make Britain the first major economy to reach 100% clean power by 2030. That would cut bills, strengthen our energy security, create jobs, and make Britain a clean energy superpower. And our Green Prosperity Plan would establish GB Energy, a publicly owned energy company, to invest in the technologies and the jobs of the future here in the UK. As we attempt this endeavour, we have a fair wind at our back. Not just the ingenuity, the brilliance of people and businesses in this country, but the natural resources of our island nation. Wealth lies in our seas and in our skies, and it's an act of national self-harm not to prioritise them over expensive gas. That is the choice at the next general election, whenever it comes: more of the same with the Tories or a fairer, greener future with Labour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Nice one.
And, you know,
Any
the
response to
Honourable
that?
Gentleman raised
Gobshite?
the matter of my
Hey,
attendance
come
at
on,
COP. I
fuckwit.
just would gently point
Come on.
out to him
Gently.
that
Go
Labour
on.
Prime Ministers
That what?
failed to attend, I think, 12 of the 13 COPs held during their time in office. As Chancellor, I hosted the Finance Day on COP last year, where we had landmark agreements to rewire the financial system.
Yeah, you like telling other people what to do, but you're not going to allow onshore wind farms, are you? There's literally a ban on onshore wind farms. Can you believe this shit? There is a ban on onshore wind farms in one of the windiest countries in the fucking world. Yes, that has actually happened thanks to this absolute chundering fuckwit and his fuckwit mates.
2010, and this, what do we inherit? A Labour government that believed there was no economic case for new nuclear power, Mr. Speaker. He talked about oil and gas. He talked about oil and gas.
Fucking liar. He's just fucking lying now.
He needs to live in the real
France,
world,
they've
Mr.
made
Speaker.
it so that all car parks with over 80 spaces have to have cover, they have to have roofs made of solar panels.
It's simply pie in the sky to pretend otherwise.
It will produce the amount of electricity produced by 10
that,
nuclear
and
power
the
stations.
The footprint of having homegrown gas is half the footprint of importing it from abroad, so it is a sensible thing to do. Well, look, Mr. Speaker, our plan is the right plan.
What do you mean
it's
half
realistic, it's
importing it
credible,
from
it's
abroad?
delivering for the
What are you
British
talking
people,
about?
as well
We have
as
to
delivering
pay
on our
the
climate
international fucking
adjustments.
rate for gas, you
His
daft
own-
twat. You
his own
fucking
Treasury
lying
Secretary
piece of
decides
shit.
his
He
climate
fucking
plan
knows we've got to
has,
pay the
quote,
international
unquote,
rate for
a
gas. We
borrowing
don't get half-price
plan.
gas
And
if we
know
make our
that
own gas.
does,
We
Mr.
sell it to
Speaker.
ourselves at
It's
the
not
international
right thing
fucking
for the
rate,
British people.
like we do with the fucking oil that we still take out the North Sea. You fucking gobshite.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I know the British people trust me to manage the economy. They won't trust the Labour Party.
What? No, mate. No, mate. I think it's Conservative voters trust you. That's about it.
In reparations around the world, we're focused on creating a strong economy here at home.
Reparations around the world. Talked about what we can do in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I welcome my right honourable friend's statement, and also welcome
Deal of the new Iron Lady
commitment that he and the government are showing to net zero by 2050 to tackling climate change.
It's too late.
He's absolutely
It's too
right
late.
to talk about the creation of high-skilled,
It's too late.
high-wage green jobs as we green our economy. But people
Green
need
our
to have the
economy.
training and the skills and
Did you get that
education to be
necklace?
able to take on those jobs.
No shoes.
What are the government's plans in relation to education and training
my
for
God.
green skills?
My honourable friend is absolutely right, and I thank her for her warm comments. I point her to our record investment in apprenticeships in particular, but also to the new lifelong learning entitlement,
Again,
which
we gave more
acknowledges
than
that
last
people will
year,
have to
well, because inflation's gone
retrain
up, we'll
at
have
any
to.
point during their life to take advantage of the new economic opportunities that are coming our way, and I'm pleased that we'll be rolling out that programme over the coming years.
Genuinely hate all these
Ian
fuckers.
Blackford.
Right.
Thank
I
you,
might
Mr.
leave
Speaker.
it after
Can I thank the
Ian
Prime
has
Minister for
spoken.
advance sight of his statement, and let me also welcome the Prime Minister's last-minute change of heart to actually attend COP27. But I'm afraid, whether he likes it or not, his initial instinct telling him not to attend will be long remembered and rightly remembered.
Duke,
It
you're
means
absolutely right.
he now has a major job in convincing people that he is truly committed to the challenge of climate change. And of course, that commitment starts with our own domestic targets.
The additional
But
carbon
it is
emissions
vital that our
transporting gas from
collective
abroad.
commitment
Still gonna
also
make it much
extends
cheaper for
to
us.
those in the global south. Nations and peoples are being
we just use
damaged
our
the
own
most
power.
by a climate crisis that they have contributed
Green
the
power.
least to. These are the poorest people
no,
on
they
this
put a ban
planet,
on that.
and they always seem to be paying the highest price. That is why it is so right and so necessary that loss and damage was on the formal COP agenda for the very first time. I'm proud to say that through the leadership of our First Minister, Scotland has become the first developed nation to pledge finance to address loss and damage. And our country is now committed to a total of £7 million, a small sum in the scale of what is needed, but a powerful message to larger nations who need to follow that lead. Because we don't need to wait for consensus and a decision at COP. We can start funding loss and damage programmes straight away. So can I ask the Prime Minister if he will guarantee that UK overseas aid earmarked for climate finance will be spent within the 5-year timeframe as originally promised? And can he also guarantee that the total aid budget won't be slashed further in the autumn statement next week? And finally, in terms of the new Prime Minister's domestic targets on climate, will he honour the promises made to the North East of Scotland in carbon capture and storage? Will he commit to taking the Scottish cluster off the government's reserve list and fund it right now?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm actually pleased that it was the UK that established a new Glasgow dialogue on loss and damage to discuss arrangements for funding activities to avert, minimise and address loss and damage, and those conversations are ongoing. With regard to our international climate finance pledges, as I said, we remain committed to the 11.6 billion. It is our intention to deliver it over the time frame that was originally envisaged. And with regard to targets, again, it should be a source of enormous pride for everyone in this House that we have decarbonised in this country faster than any other G7 country. And our targets are among the most ambitious in the world, and we have a credible plan to get on and deliver them.
Philip Dunn. Speaker, can I congratulate my right honourable friend for his crystal clear commitment, both in Sharm el-Sheikh and in this chamber here today, to delivering net zero Britain. There is no doubt about that under his prime ministership.
Now we're no longer have the presidency of COP, which has been acting as a forcing mechanism across government. How can he clarify how he intends that his government will deliver our ambitious nationally determined contribution to reduce emissions across
it's actually delivery
the
companies that deliver less than those fuckers. We've got to deliver. We've got to deliver. We've got to deliver.
My honourable friend makes an excellent point, and I can assure him that though we are no longer formally presidents of COP, our leadership on this issue internationally will not waver, and he has my commitment on that. And I personally will drive this through government in conjunction with the Secretary of State.
Sorry, that was just too boring. I just had to stop that noise going in my ear. Tory is going, hey, Tory, aren't we great? Aren't we great? Wasn't that an interesting PMQs? The Tory questions were great, weren't they? One of the questions was literally, was the Holocaust bad? Was the Holocaust a bad thing? Can we all get together and say the Holocaust? This would be a statement to the House, it's not a question to the PM. Do you know what I mean? It's so maddening. It's like you've got 40 minutes once a week to ask the Prime Minister questions about the government and about the way that they're conducting themselves and their policies and things like that. And to waste that time by standing up, you know, these questions, these softball questions that the Tories love to throw themselves, because you know, all these questions are given to them in advance, so they definitely know what's coming. They know what's going to be said, and it's like, oh yeah, isn't children getting cancer? Isn't that an awful thing? And the Prime Minister stands up and says, yeah. And they're watching, they're just like running down the clock, aren't they? They're just looking at the clock, going, oh, we'll just run that fucker down. We'll run it down. I like what Jobs said about how, James O'Brien had said about how you are most likely to hear the threat to climate change from someone in on the M25 than you are from the Secretary General of the UN. Yeah, Sam, I thought that was a great point. I thought that was a really, really good point because, yeah, they spent hours yesterday on the radio talking about the Just Stop Oil protesters, and they barely mentioned the fact that the Secretary General of the United Nations made a speech the day before saying that we were fucked. We are on the highway to hell. The fucking road to hell. Not the road to Hull, which is possibly worse. The road to hell. Seriously, because we're fucked. We're absolutely fucked. If the weather changes to this extent because of climate change, pushing the weather into more and more extremes, it's going to result in more displaced people, more damage, more disasters that need to be sorted out, which costs more money in the long run. Everything the Tories are doing is costing us more money. It's costing your children more money and your grandchildren, as yet unborn grandchildren, more money than it would do if we just fixed the fucking problems that we have right fucking now. But obviously, we don't want to do that because it's far too sensible. It's too sensible. Don't be sensible. Don't you hate it when people are sensible, Graham, a big kiss to you. Thanks very much, David. Thank you. I do worry that my girlfriend reads these comments and she's like, Graham, what's going on with you and David? And I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm guessing if I was female and it was a male giving me this kind of attention, we would have words, but we're still having fun with it, so it's okay. Mad Monk, I think I'll go out and get pissed due to the depressing rubbish that I'm hearing from that shit from Sumac. Yeah, Mad Monk. I mean, he's just a fucking. He's like the rest of them. They are congenital liars. Is that a phrase? Pathological liars and congenital. The congenital twins. Mad Monk says, David, even watching Wee Toto couldn't cheer me up after watching that car crash of PMQs. Yeah. I'm glad that Keir Starmer made the point that I made about the fact that the Tories have got rid of fucking... The Tories, on purpose, got rid... Get this, they got rid of... Not just got rid, they banned onshore wind farms. So if you want to make a wind farm in this country, you can't. You can't legally, you can't do it. How fucking mad is that? Is that the maddest thing? You know, imagine explaining that to your kids in years to come. So what was done about climate change? Well, the first thing we did was we banned one of the cleanest, most efficient ways that we could have made our own power. What, you mean you banned it? Yeah, we banned it. We said if you're going to build these, you have to build them out to sea, because then they're less of a blot on the landscape, you see, because all these Tory voters who live in rural areas who fuck their sisters, they don't like them. They look at them and they go, I don't know what that does. It really scares me. Technology. Ah! And they write about it on their smartphone, which they also don't know how it works, but they seem to a lot less scared of that. Just a little bit of an update for you, for anyone who's watching the elections in America. Georgia, it looks like it's almost definitely going to go to a runoff with 96% of the vote in. No one's got 50%, although Warnock, who's the Democrat candidate, is ahead of Herschel Walker by just 18,000 votes, and that hasn't changed since 8 o'clock this morning, so I don't think that's going to change much before the end. It's 96% of the votes have been counted, and basically you've got to get in Georgia. They brought in this racist law to ensure that the black people who live in Georgia couldn't gang up on the white people, so they made it that you had to get over 50% of the vote in order to win the state. So if you don't get 50% of the vote, it goes to a runoff. And the idea was that if there was a black candidate, then all the white people would vote for the white candidate, and there'd always be more white people than black people in the state of Georgia. That was the plan. So this racist law was put in because racism. But there you go. So that's going to go on runoff, which I think is December the 8th. So we're not going to find out who has control of both houses of Congress. It looks like the House of Representatives has gone already to the Republicans. The only glimmer of sunshine on that is they didn't get a red wave. It was described by Mueller, she wrote, as more like red spotting. We got Senate, Wisconsin. So we've got 4 seats that are still up for grabs in the Senate. There's 100 seats in the Senate. It's 50-50 at the moment. So in order to take over the Senate, the Republicans just needed to win 1 more seat than the Democrats. Unfortunately for them, they lost Pennsylvania, which was a Republican seat. Now it's gone to Democratic. But it does look like the Cortez Masto in Nevada, who is the the Democrat incumbent, is losing quite badly to the Republican Laxalt, who is a good 22,000 votes ahead with 80% of the votes counted. So unless a load more fucking votes come in from Reno or something, I don't know. It looks a bit fucked for the Democrats there. So that means that if they do lose that seat, then it's down to basically Georgia. It's going to be down to Georgia. Arizona is looking like the incumbent Kelly is winning there with 68% of the vote. They've got 100,000 ahead, which is a healthy margin. Kelly is currently on 51.9% of the vote against Masters on 45.9%. So that's pretty good. Wisconsin does look like the incumbent Johnson is going to win. They're 31,000 votes ahead of Barnes, the Democrat candidate. And although that is, it's 50.5 versus 49.3. Obviously, people spoil their ballots or something. I don't know. But that's 94% of the vote in. So we got these 4 seats, and the Democrats need to win 2 of them, and the Republicans need to win 3 of them in order to take over. No. Yes, 3 of them. And at the moment, it's looking like Wisconsin is going to go to the Republicans. It's looking like Nevada is going to switch from the Democrats to the Republicans. Arizona is going to stay Democrat. And Georgia's going to go to a runoff, so we're not going to know who takes control of the Senate in America, because it's so evenly split, until we get the results in from Georgia. Bad looks of things. That's unless things change rapidly in Nevada and the Democrats win Nevada. If they do win Nevada, they don't have to win Georgia, but it's not looking very good at the moment. It does look like they're going to actually fucking lose that, which is a bit shit. But positive thing Trump totally lost yesterday. Trump fucking lost because so many of his chosen candidates fucking lost, including Mehmet Oz, who was the Dr. Oz guy who was standing in Pennsylvania, who actually lost and everyone thought he was going to win, and he was backed heavily by Trump. And usually in a midterm, the incumbent government, whoever's president at that time, will lose a fuckload of seats. We're talking like 10, 20, 30, 40, even up to 80 seats have been lost in midterms because people are like, oh, well, I don't like the way things are going. Now, if you look at the American economy right now, it's fucked. I mean, the inflation over there is through the fucking roof. Similar to what the problems we're having here, but kind of maybe on a bigger scale because America's a much, much, much bigger country. But at the same time, this is midterms. You usually expect people to turn on the government a bit, especially when the economy's not doing really well. It's not roaring ahead at the moment in America. And instead, there was just a kind of trickle of support for the Republicans. It's a bit pathetic, really, which is a good thing. It hopefully, fingers crossed, it bodes well for the future. But who fucking knows? It's America. Hi, Gregory, says Jim Bob. Hello, Jim Bob. How you doing, mate? We've got I Up saying, Charlie Nelson saying I Up. Samu says, yeah, slightly less of a car crash at least. So the Republicans can set groundwork to allow Trump returns. That's from Donald Cowie. So essentially, if this had been a red wave, then Trump would be announcing his presidency this evening. Like, no two ways about it. His run for presidency this evening. The way it's shaken out, I don't know. It could be a bit of a car crash for the Republicans if they decide to press ahead and give Trump succor, because DeSantis did really, really, really well in Florida, like absolutely smashing the Democrats there, bringing a lot of Latino votes over to him. And he's going to go for president in 2024. And if Trump goes as well, then the primaries might be quite a bloody battlefield. And as we found out from Hillary Clinton's failure to win the presidency in 2016, you really don't want messy primaries. You don't want people with never Trump or never DeSantis t-shirts turning up to the Republican convention. Do you know what I mean? They don't want that because it's never a good thing. And people turned up, Bernie Sanders fans turned up in 2016 to the Democrat convention with t-shirts on saying never Hillary. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake. No, don't do this. It's not worth it. No, it's really important. I stand my ground. I'm like, look, mate, don't hate the player. Just hate the game, I guess. I don't know. Just, it's the way things are. You're pissed at the dick you've got. End of. Sorry. And the same goes for weirdos in the left who continue to bang on about Corbyn just as much as Rishi Sunak does, and won't support Keir Starmer. Like, I don't support Keir Starmer over everything. He sometimes has some really stupid shit. As I mentioned on Monday night, I didn't like what he said about not having foreigners coming over here working for the NHS. It's a really fucking stupid thing to say, that, Keir. And also, every time he mentions the EU and going back into the single market, he's like, no, not even talking about it. La, 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 la. I can't hear you. Really stupid thing to do, Keir. Don't like it. Stop it, dickhead. But it's the only game in town. It is the only game in town. Unless you live in a constituency in which Labour can come consistently third, in which case, vote for the fucking Lib Dems. Vote for the SNP. Vote for Plaid Cymru. Vote for the Greens. I don't care. I don't mind. I'm not that tribal that I'm like, yeah, you've got to vote Labour. You've got to vote Labour. No. Vote for whoever will get the fucking Tories out of fucking office, because the damage that they have done over the last 12 years to this country is cataclysmic. It's off the fucking charts. They have damaged the life, the welfare, the income, the mental state of millions of people in this country. Stress in our lives that they have imposed on us from above. These millionaires, billionaires, privately educated fuckwits turning up and going, yeah, I know what's right for the people, but what they really want is X, Y, Z. Oh, bastards. Bastards, bastards, bastards. Anyway, so here we go. Right, real-time election updates on CNN from 2 hours ago. That can't be right. I'm going to refresh that. Okay, I can see his tweets because I follow the people because of him. Where's the horrible granddad from the Monster family? I mean, Nigel Farage, I don't care where he is. I would like him to be unalived. That would be fucking great if he was unalived. It does look very much like the Republicans have taken Wisconsin. And yeah, with 80% of the vote now in from Nevada, it is looking like they're going to take Nirvana? The band? Nevada as well. So, yeah, with the Democrats looking like they're going to take Arizona, it is going to come down to Georgia. And we're not going to know until December the 8th. So we can't relax until then, which kind of sucks. And as far as the Senate is concerned, I mean, so far in the actual... So far in the results that have been called, I think that the Senate has got 1 pickup, and the House, the Democrats have got 3 pickups, i.e. a congressional area in which was the other party, and now it's them. Meanwhile, the Republicans, the bad guys, they've had 9 pickups so far. And yeah, so basically Republicans need 16 competitive seats to gain control of the House at the moment. It's looking pretty dicey. It does look like the Republicans might squeak it and might take over the House of Representatives and the Senate, but by a tiny, tiny margin. And all that they'll be realistically able to do in that situation is just block everything, which is what they'll do. They'll block appointments, they'll block anything that the Democrats want to do. Nothing will get done for 2 years. And you've got people like Elon Musk with incredible amounts of power because he's now in charge of Twitter, tweeting that we should vote for the Republicans. This is a guy from South Africa who can fuck off back to South Africa. Wasn't there a song about that? Wasn't there a song in the 1980s on the B-side of the Chicken song, the Spitting Image, called I've Never Met a Nice South African? This was back in the day where if you were black, you couldn't be South African. You couldn't be a South African citizen if you were black. You see, technically, you weren't an actual citizen. You just came into South Africa, into the places where the white people lived, so you could work there. You were given a work permit, but you were kind of stateless at the time. So, yeah, the Spitting Image crew wrote a song called "Never Met a Nice South African." Which went something like, I've had a close encounter of the 22nd kind. That's when an alien spaceship drives into your behind. I've met the King of China and a working Yorkshire miner, but I've never met a nice South African. Anyway, but yeah, he's from South Africa. And he's telling people in America how they should vote. And do you know what? They should vote for the Nazis. That's his idea. They should all vote for the bad people. Yeah. They should all vote for the bad thing. I love it when people vote for the bad thing. It makes me so happy. I am the Lord of the Cataclysm, says Duke Vengeance. That sounds cool. Oh no, poor Twitter. Oh no. Boycott. Paying for blue tick smells like bullshit for me. Wonder what people's views are. Yeah, I mean, it's bullshit, isn't it? Isn't it? It just is. It just is, my friends. It just is. So, I'm trying to just work my way through all this data on the actual votes that are coming in for the House. The Republicans are on 52% of the vote for the House and overall the popular vote, and the Democrats are just on 45% of the votes, which isn't great, is it? Yeah, a lot of races still left to be declared. We've got races where we've got like 99% in. There's a House 19 in New York, which looks like it's going to the Republicans. House 17 in New York looks like it's going to the Republicans. That's not good, when places in New York go to Republicans. Yeah, not good at all. In California, yeah, there's it looks like House 22 is going to the Republicans as well, but that is the incumbent. But it does look like there's quite a few seats that are flipping from one to the other, and yeah, still quite a few results left to come. And as things stood, the Democrats held 220 seats, whereas the Republicans held 212 seats. So if you just do quick maths, like the Republicans literally need to win 4 seats off the Republicans for it to be a tied House, and then 5 seats to just, actually be in charge. So yeah, it's all a bit worrying. It is all a bit worrying, but not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was going to do a show last night. I was going to stay up all night, and as the results came in, and then I thought, no, it'd be too depressing, so I didn't. But now I feel like I should have done. But then again, I could have stayed up all night, and we still wouldn't know who's going to win. But we would have known, as the results came in, that the Republican Party and Trump fucked. Fucked. To do this badly in midterms is a little bit off the charts. If I just head over to my Twitter account, when is the next Rejoin March? I don't know. I didn't organise the last one, and I had my ticket to go down in September, and then the Queen carked it, silly Queen, and then they rescheduled it, and I was actually on Ginger Island that week. I mean, it would be the week that I was in fucking Ginger Island, and my brother went, and his mate Andy, and they told me that I was talking to my brother yesterday. He's like, "Did you have anything to do with that getting set up?" And I went, "No." And he went, "Did you make the video for them?" I went, "No." He went, "You in the video loads?" Because they had the video on a big screen before the speeches, on the stage. And apparently, I featured in a lot, along with I don't know, Maddie, EU Supergirl, and Femi. So yeah, the three amigos, the three not Brexiteers. But yeah, there you go. So anyway, I'm just gonna give you this. I've got some stats to give you because stats are fun. Said nobody ever. I've lost 200 followers on Twitter since Elon came in. So maybe they were. Oh shit. Maybe they were bots. I don't know. I was followed by 200 bots, which isn't bad. I'm followed by like 22,000 people, so only 200 of them are bots. It's a tiny percentage. Let's have a look. I'm pretty, when you think, did I retweet that or did I just, did I just like it? Oh, maybe I just liked it. Feel sorry for Twitter. Even though they banned me for no reason. Yeah. Musk's hellscape. Apparently the youth vote really tipped it towards the Democrats away from the Republicans. There is quite a fun little thing here where it's pictures of Lauren Boebert, who thought that she was going to get elected, before and after pictures, which are quite fun because the before one she's like yay, and then the after one it looks like they were awake. And then so these are stats that you want. So Trump lost 40 seats in his first midterm. Obama lost 63. Clinton lost 52. Carter lost 15. And at the moment, all in, because obviously, so they've lost 9, but then they've gained 3, so 6. So Biden's currently on 6 in the midterms, seats that they've lost, with like the worst economy in fucking years, because people fucking hate Donald Trump. Despite what the media wants you to believe, they fucking hate Donald Trump because he's a gobshite. And also, he's not really big on women's rights, which is a big thing in America at the moment. Unfortunately, if the gobshites in the Republican Party actually get a majority in both the House of Representatives and the Senate, it does mean that Trump's got a better chance of winning the next election by cheating and getting people to cheat on his behalf. And also worth mentioning that if they do get this, then you can forget about getting any abortion rights anytime soon. So I've got a few websites that I'm making at the moment. I'm working on a few websites, and one of them that I would like to make, but I don't, because it's not really something that I should do. I'll explain why. Well, I'll explain what it is, and you'll probably understand why. But you have these horrible right-wing misogynistic cunts on YouTube, and they call themselves pickup artists. these people who brag about how many women they've slept with, and they have these ways of being an alpha male and going out and getting, these beautiful women to hang off their arms, and they always seem single for some reason. I don't really understand that. But and it's almost as though like you can pick up women, but then if you actually bother talking to them for more than a few hours, they discover that you're a scumbag and say, I never want to hear from you again, and block your number. Almost like that. Almost. Anyway, let's do a pickup artist website, but it's for black people living in rural white areas of America, right? And it's basically how to pick up white chicks. And one of the bits of advice is basically have sex with them as often as possible, because once they're pregnant, there's nothing they can do about it. You see why I can't make this as a website, but I think that someone definitely fucking should, because obviously it'd be satirical, and obviously it'd be absolutely taking the piss out of pickup artists in first and foremost. But secondly, it will be making an important point that the most redneck racists in America wouldn't really like it if their unmarried daughter, got pregnant to a black man. Do you know what I'm saying? So, use their racism against them. Use their racism in order to shore up rights for women. This is why I'm never, ever, ever getting into any position of power in politics. Anyway, so moving on. The Snowflake Show, that's not really surprising, man. There's a bunch of arrogant bastards who look like baboons, yeah. That's a lyric from Never Met a Nice South African. Thank you for that. Deleted Twitter as soon as Musk said he'd buy it. He's a dangerous egotist. Ernie, you're absolutely right. Let's all meet up on Mastodon. Speaking of gobshites, what the fuck was Boris doing at COP? Hasn't that troglodyte done enough damage? He came as the ghost of Christmas past or something. I don't know what the fuck he was on about. It was just, he gave another rambling dickhead speech where he didn't actually say anything, which really fucks me off. The amateur life coaches, I've unfriended a few of those. It's a bit, when like, it's like when you take advice, these people, life gurus and stuff, and they tell you how to make loads of money, but they're not wealthy themselves. It's a bit like learning to write a film and sitting down with someone who's never actually had a film of theirs made, and they're telling you how to write a film. Because I'd love to do shows about how to write a film, because I think I'm pretty fucking good at writing films. I think I'm, I know how films work. I know the language of films. I know the grammar. I can write a film. I can write a film. Trust me on this one. But as I've never had a feature film of mine made, I don't feel like I'm in a position to actually tell people how to make feature films. And the mad thing is about that is, if you actually get to that position where you are writing film scripts and they are being made, you're not likely to give your time to telling people how to write film scripts. Do you know what I mean? So, if you ever want to read a book about how to write a film script, try and pick one that's been written by an actual Hollywood scriptwriter who doesn't just study films but actually writes films for a living. That's my top tip there. You mean like that prick Andrew Tate? Yes, exactly like that horrible prick Andrew Tate. And is he the one who went to jail? Did he go to jail, or was he just banned off social media for being such a horrible misogynistic prick? It's like, the sort of attitude that women owe men something, and this idea that, but I'm nice. Fuck you being nice. What's that got to do with anything? No one gives a fuck about you being nice, for Christ's sake. Everyone's nice if they want to be. They're trying to pick up. Everyone's nice. You've got to be a bit more than that. You've got to be engaged. You've got to actually listen to what someone's saying to you and respond to what they're saying, instead of just talking about yourself all the time. I could do a show. I could do a show saying, hey, here's my top tips for landing a hottie, but I don't know. It just feels a bit wrong, and everyone's different, and what people find attractive is different in everybody, and I do think there's someone out there for everyone. Yeah, absolutely. And if you are single, keep looking. You will find someone at some point, probably when you least expect it. But yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a bit like that. Anyway, being nice is the least you can do, says Duke Bench. I know, people go, but I'm nice. Do you want to go out with me? No. But I'm nice. Like, fucking so what? Yeah, that's what you should be. Yeah, they're not nice. They're entitled. So they're any bent. Yeah, exactly. But the incel movement in America and Canada and some of it over here as well. Is the idea that women owe men something, like, these bitches, they won't sleep with me, and it's like, yeah, that's their fucking decision, mate. What the fuck is wrong with you? Stop whinging about it online and go out, meet people, learn to fucking socialise, learn to, I don't know, have a conversation with a member of the opposite sex that doesn't involve your fucking false teeth falling out and you dribbling all over the floor. I don't fucking know. My God. Anyway, so while we've been speaking, no more results have come in, I don't think, in the American midterms, which I generally wouldn't have given a fuck about. I don't really follow American politics as much as I possibly should, but I wasn't really massively into American politics at the best of times. But this concerns the future of the planet. That's the thing. So it's in our interests for the Democrats to win, or at least to make sure that if the Republicans do have a majority, it is wafer thin, and they can't really do anything too catastrophic. But there you go. Your pickup book will start first travel to every country in the world. Do you know what, Ernie? It's funny you say that, because it doesn't necessarily work as well as you think it would. And I've had experiences where I've been chatting somebody up and I've not mentioned it, and I've done better out of not mentioning it and then saying it as a bit of a surprise, then finding out as a bit of a surprise the next day or whatever, than me going, hey, I've been to every country in the world. Because think about it from the person I'm trying to pick up's point of view. They're like, great, that's great for you. What am I supposed to do about that? Do you know what I mean? It's like going up to someone and going, I know stuff. Okay, cool. I won this Olympic medal once. Okay, great. That's cool. What do you want? People are like, in any given situation, I mean, we are a little bit selfish. We all are. And we think like, but what are you going to do for me? How does that help me? So yeah, I found that usually I was better not mentioning it, to be honest with you. in my wilderness years, in my 30s, when I was single for quite a long time. Super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, David. A special gift from your gay fan. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We've also got Sam saying, I remember one intolerable rich Tunt, who on one of the Rich Poor Life Swap programs, saying it's not your fault you've been born poor, but it's your fault if you stay poor. Fuckers. Absolute fuckers. I might do a show where I go through my favourite article on the internet, which is on the Cracked website on cracked.com, and it's called 5 Things That Rich People Need to Stop Saying. You could look it up. It's by David Wong. I just Google it. Trust me on this one. Trust me. Anyway, I was only going to do an hour show, and it's already 24 minutes past 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm going to say ta-ra to you, and I will be back tomorrow night. Yeah, 9 o'clock for a bit more War on Error. More on Error! Where we stick it to the people in charge. I should have saved some of this stuff that I'm talking about right now for tomorrow night's show, but I'm guessing there's going to be more to talk about the midterms. We're obviously going to be dipping into what's been going on in Rishi Sunak's shitty fucking leaky cabinet of bullies and ne'er-do-wells and creeps and scumbags, including Cruella Braverman, fucking Dominic Raab, Gavin Williamson, shut up and go away, and that absolutely horrific that woman who was in charge of health for a couple of weeks while she just ate chips, Theresa Coffey, and now she's in charge of the environment for some fucking reason. It's like putting a fatberg in charge of the sewers. Good job, Tories. Anyway, so thank you very much for the super chats. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Oh shit, sorry. I've put my Patreon screen up too fast. Sorry. It's supposed to fade in, people. Press the wrong button. Don't you hate it when they do that? Anyway, you've been watching Not Safe for Work, Prime Minister's Questions with Graham Hughes. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll say good evening, hello, good afternoon, welcome, good morning, and goodbye.